Welcome back, everyone. Michael here with Offshore Citizen. Today I'm going to continue with our review of various different citizenship by investment, citizenship by donation programs, and we're going to move to a popular one that people have been asking me about, which is Saint Kitts and Nevis. I'm going to tell you how it works, what the costs are, what the timelines are, go through all the details with you, and give you my impression of what I think about it. Spoiler alert, you should probably get this program this year. I'll explain why. And yeah, we're gonna dive into it. Before we do that, if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. We love subscribers. We really appreciate your support. Hit the like button if you like it, especially share it with your friends. If you don't like it, please tell us in the comments. Really appreciate it. And if you're at all interested in these subjects of international tax planning, getting second citizenship, citizenship by investment programs, unofficial citizenship by investment programs, residencies, optimizing your taxes, setting up companies abroad, getting banking abroad, reach out to me. You can book a call, clarity.fm/Michael Rosmer. There's a link in the description below. Or you can check out our websites, offshorecitizen.net, offshorecapitalist.com, and you can go and send us a message through there. Okay, let's dive into it. So for those of you who don't know, Saint Kitts and Nevis is one of the 5 countries in the Caribbean that offers citizenship by investment. They were the first one to do it, so they're quite famous and well known, kind of gone through the years of refining their program. And they have quite a few different options for how you can do that, okay? They try to market themselves as kind of like the premier one, and we're gonna cover, do I think that that is the case or not? So let's start off with visa-free travel. So when it comes to visa-free travel, I'm gonna pull up my map here, but they have the best out of the countries in the Caribbean, okay? So out of those 5 countries, as well as better than Vanuatu in the South Pacific, so it's pretty good as far as that goes. They get 156 countries, which is based on like visa on arrival or visa free, etc. Notably, so what do they not have? Let's talk about that. So just like all of these programs, you don't get Canada, you don't get the US, you don't get Mexico, you don't get South Africa, you don't get China, you don't get Japan, you don't get New Zealand, you don't get Australia. What you do get is Russia. Okay, Russia is one that a lot of them don't have. And you get the whole Schengen Zone, so that's good. So all the EU, plus, as with all these 5 in the Caribbean, you get UK and Ireland. So that's fairly good, all right? I would say that, it's decent in terms of the visa-free travel, okay? So let's talk about what it is like. I would say that if we just compare visa-free travel, there's only one other one, which is Grenada, that you would maybe compare with, although it depends case by case in the country. So for instance, you don't get Thailand on this one, whereas you do on Vanuatu. So depending on where you want to go, it can make a difference to you, okay? Let's talk about costs. So when we're talking about costs, on the headline rate, they would be one of the 2 most expensive, the other one being Grenada, which has a $150,000 donation, okay? That being said, I'm gonna get into why you probably shouldn't go that route and what are some other options. But let me break down for you first, and I have the list here because it's kind of complicated, the total cost. So for a single applicant, you have a $150,000 donation, okay? You also have $7,500 in due diligence fees. You have $250 in government application fee. You have a passport fee of $365. You have courier fees of $200. You have local lawyer professional fees of $5,000, and you have bank due diligence fees of $200. So that in total, your real cost out of pocket is $163,515. It's called $164,000 for one applicant. If you want to add a spouse, okay, then the donation goes from $150,000 to $175,000. Your due diligence fees go from $7,500 to $11,500. You obviously have to pay, duplicate of a bunch of these other fees, but not the local lawyer professional fee. And so your total cost for 2 people is $193,230. Okay, let's call it $194,000. If you want to add 2 dependents under the age of 16, then your donation is $195,000. Your due diligence fee actually doesn't go up; it remains the same at $11,500. But you still have to pay the government application fee of $500 per person, or sorry, $250 per person. So you're at $1,000. You have to pay the passport fees. The career fees remain the same. The local lawyer professional fee remains the same, and so your total is $214,560 for that, okay? And then if you want dependents over 16, then you're at the same $195,000 application fee, but your due diligence fee goes up to $19,500. So your total is $22,660 by the time all is said and done. Okay, so that's the donation route. Now, it's not an insane amount of money for something that you pay for once and you get it for your whole life, right? By the way, if you want to add additional dependents and things, that is possible, but we're going to cover that in a minute. Or you can reach out to me if you have specific questions about that. So that's the one route to go. There are a couple other routes, and so let's talk about these. So by the way, so this puts it as basically in the top 2 most expensive in the Caribbean. Okay, so at this point, if you were to compare to someplace like Antigua or to St. Lucia, you might say, well, hang on a minute, like I'm saving a bunch of money by going with St. Lucia, right? Maybe I would want to go that route as opposed to going this route. Yeah, so far, you're saying, hey, listen, is the visa-free, the extra visa-free access worth it for the extra money? That's kind of your thing that you're balancing out so far. Now, they have a real estate option. I am generally speaking not a big fan of real estate options. That being said, I have had some clients who that's their preference. So, like to each their own. Basically, the way that it works is you can't just buy any real estate. You're buying, some sort of a project that you can get approval on. You have to invest $200,000 in real estate. Otherwise, the fees are basically the same, except that you also have a government real estate fee, which is $35,000 for a main applicant, $55,000 for a main applicant plus spouse. Family of 4 with 2 dependents is $75,000, whether they're above or below 16. Okay. So what does that mean? That means your total cost in terms of like dollars out, if you're doing the real estate option, is $248,565. Now, of course, you have an asset for that, right? We're going to talk in a minute about what you actually get and how long you have that out, etc. But you have that asset. If you're doing for a single applicant. If it's with a spouse, you're at $273,330. If you're talking about a family of 4, it's $294,760. Or if you add on the extra fees for having like the higher due diligence for dependents over 16, then you're at $302,860. Okay. Now, again, so in theory, you have this $200,000 investment that you're apparently going to recoup sometime in the future. Will you recoup that? How much will you recoup? Questionable. My view is always that these things are overpriced. But that being said, it's not too terrible. You also have a bit of an opportunity cost on that capital, right? So you're tying up that money for like 7 years. And so, all right, that money is tied up, right? It's you don't have access to it. But, maybe it's worth it for you. Probably like in pure dollar terms, you actually probably do save money versus just doing the donation, right? You're going to recoup more than $50,000 out of that. So your real cost is your opportunity cost in that case. But this brings us to the third option. And this third option is why I think people are smart to do this program as compared to really the other programs in the Caribbean right now. And this is the financing option, okay? So let's just talk quickly about how this works. So when you do the financing option, what you're gonna do, instead of putting up the $200,000, you're gonna put up a portion of that as a down payment. The rest is gonna be financed, and what you're gonna do is you're gonna lose the $200,000, and you're not gonna get the property at the end, okay? Or sorry, not the $200,000, you're gonna lose the $50,000, and you're not gonna get the property back, okay? So what does this mean? It means that your out-of-pocket cost is dramatically lower, right, than the real estate option. But on the other hand, at the end of the day, you don't end up with this asset, and hypothetically, the asset is worth more than you're losing out on, I guess, in this model. So that's why they're financing you, right? Otherwise, why are they financing you? So let's go through how that works. So basically, what happens is you're paying $50,000, meaning that for a single applicant, your total cost, and in this case it's actually purely cost, is $98,565, okay? So $98,565, let's call it let's just call it $99,000 as an easy number, right? That's like a lot cheaper than the 150,000 plus, right? The 164,000 or whatever it was that we said. If you have a spouse, it becomes 123,330. If you have two dependents under 16, it's 144,760. And if you have two dependents over the age of 16, it is 152,860. So in my opinion, like if I just look at it, if I compare it to St. Lucia, to Grenada, to Antigua, to Dominica, like the raw dollar cost that I'm putting out for the passport is lower if I do this than to do the donation options in these other countries, okay? And my quality of passport is on a macro level better. Now, I recently did a video on If Money Was No Object, and I mentioned doing Grenada, and the reason for that at the time was that I wanted access to China. So, you know, you get some different countries, and so depending on the countries that you want, maybe this isn't the best passport for you, right? It's all case-by-case dependent like that. But overall, I would say that this makes it the most attractive option right now. So now, there's various different specials that come up on these programs, right? Sometimes there's a situation where, you know, they have some sort of a special discount. They actually had that because of in 2020, right? So if you're interested in those, I'm not going to put them whatever they are current here right now, just because of the fact that, you know, by the time you watch this, it might have changed. But if you're interested, reach out to us, and, you know, we'll give you the latest updates on what programs are available and what might make sense for you. So now let's talk about timelines. Okay, so certainly the due diligence process in the Caribbean programs in general is much stronger than it is in, say, Turkey or Vanuatu, and or certainly than the unofficial programs, but not as arduous as in Malta. Okay, so it's a fairly intense due diligence process that you'd have to go through, and in particular, the one that I always pay attention to is the source of funds. Right, that's an issue. Now, the thing that you can consider about that is how long is this going to take? In my experience, typically, you're talking about 4 to 6 months before you actually get the Nevis and Saint Kitts citizenship. Okay, you can pay. There's an acceleration program that you can pay for, which is $20,000 for $25,000 for the main applicant, and $20,000 extra for the other dependent if you have them on there. What this does is it basically there's basically like two parts of the process, right? So what happens in these programs is you pay the due diligence fee, and that's non-refundable. If you lose out, if you don't get it, then that is gone, right? So your $7,500 or whatever it happens to be, that's gone. But you haven't paid the donation rate, so you're good in that regard. So let's say you go, okay, perfect. I'm going to get this this program, and I want to speed it up, right? So what they do is they cut the due diligence process. They make it much faster. They compress the amount of time that it takes. So it reduces you to about 2 to 3 months to get it. Again, you know, pending being able to go through all the stuff and having the documentation and all that, which, you know, can kind of take some time as well. So 2 to 3 months is kind of like your optimal time that you can get this if you pay for the accelerated program, which is going to cost you, you know, some extra. But that being said, if you pay for the accelerated program, say as a single applicant on this versus on the financing option versus the donation, you're actually still at a lower amount and you got that acceleration. So anyway, last thing I'm going to mention, for a variety of these, you can pay with crypto. For Ukraine, you can pay in crypto. In fact, you basically have to. In Georgia, you basically have to. In St. Kitts, you can't pay directly to the government, but you can pay via a broker in crypto. For some people, that's an appealing thing, right? Hey, I can send in Bitcoin and get this set up, and they will accept as source of funds having the crypto. So that's very cool. Anyway, so what's my opinion? My opinion is for most people, not for everybody, but for most people, if you're looking at a Caribbean passport, it is the best option. Okay, usually St. Kitts, or based on the current pricing structure, etc., St. Kitts and Nevis with this financing option is, in my opinion, the best option right now in the Caribbean for a lot of people. Now, the caveat, again, not for everybody. For some people, Grenada is better. Grenada has E2 visa access. I'll do a video on Grenada. For some other people, there may be some situations where Vanuatu makes sense, etc. Some of the unofficial programs, Turkey, some of the other ones that I've reviewed, those could make sense. But of the Caribbean ones, right now, presently in the market, as I'm making this, for most people, I would say you should get it. And I would say that these deals don't necessarily last. So if this is something that you're thinking about, you're like, hey, listen, maybe I should go and get a citizenship. Well, you can get this financing option. I personally think it's a great deal, so I would recommend it to you. If you're at all interested, reach out to us. Again, you can book a call, coordinator.fm, or just send us a message through our websites, offshorecitizen.net, offshorecapitalist.com. Again, all the links are below, so you can check that out. And if you have at all interest in these subjects of, okay, what do I do in terms of optimizing my tax? Where do I move? What is the best citizenship for me? What about the unofficial citizenship programs? What about the residency programs? Maybe I should go and move somewhere and not get another citizenship. How does that work? Reach out to us. Happy to help you. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, tell us why in the comments below. Let me know what you think is the best programs and why. And I'm going to see you guys on the next video.